Welcome to the Obvious Podcast. This is episode 93. My name is Sonny. I'm the COO at ABC Florida East Coast.
And I'm Peter Daiga, President and CEO at the ABC Florida East Coast.
You are watching or listening to the Obvious Podcast, where all opinions reflected are our own unless we say otherwise.
Love the show? Subscribe on any major podcast platform or watch us in action on YouTube. Follow the Obvious Podcast on Instagram, X, and Truth Social, and now on TikTok. All the links you need are in the show notes. Reach out to us anytime at theobvious@abceastflorida.com. And if you're enjoying the ride, help others find us by leaving a review wherever you listen. Happy Friday, Sonny.
Happy Friday. 7 weeks till our 100th episode.
Crazy. We got something big planned, don't we?
I hope so.
Right.
Otherwise, Mr. Producer is going to be in trouble.
That's great. So, okay.
We'll find out if they do anything special for us. I mean, I'm expecting a cake, but it's 7 weeks away. I'm just reminding
100 episodes.
Our team something is coming up.
Every week.
We
haven't missed a week. So,
yeah.
All right.
That's been, 2 years?
Thank you for being along with us. So,
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you all for being along with us. Yeah. Hopefully you've had a few laughs. Which we certainly do every once in a while, and also found it engaging and from a business and an association and industry perspective. So
remember when you said say a prayer or a yoga chant?
So sure,
whatever you believe in. I'm still laughing at the yoga chant reference.
Yeah, wow.
Anyway, what are we talking about today?
Well, it's I think we're calling it Sonny in the hot seat.
Oh, great.
So I thought this is we try everything we do to make everything interesting that we do here. But I was just curious. Let's talk about some of the hot topics in association management world.
No, I like to call it industry. Growth world,
and how they impact us, or how we've responded to those challenges. And the reason we're calling it Sonny in the hot seat is because I've been around a long time. I have my own opinion about these things. You're going on your third year anniversary coming up, so you're a little newer to some of these things, perhaps. So I thought I'm interested in your perspective on these things, especially now that you've been here 3 years. So, and there's a few of them that I want to cover, about 5. So we're gonna have to go. It's going to be like lightning rounds. 4 minutes each round. So I'm going to take a look at the clock. So, all right. So one that's kind of at the top, and I'm going to lead with this one because I think it is one in particular that we're paying a lot of attention to, which is membership retention and engagement.
Yes.
So. How are we, or how does we need to prioritize membership retention and engagement strategies to strengthen connections and with our communities and whatnot? So, and what challenges are we facing?
Ooh, man, couldn't even start with something easy.
It's the hardest one out the gate.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
We're having
okay, here's a challenge, right? We're a staff of 33 people. We run the largest apprenticeship program in the state of Florida. That takes up, I think, 7-8 people just devote their entire career just to that, right? And then there's something like 70 to 90 events a year, which I know doesn't even include the webinars and the stuff we do virtually. There's 3 different board of directors. There's 3 different set of financials. There's accounting. There's communications, there's government affairs, which is massive. It's a huge player in our success. Now, at the core of it all is our membership. We have, something like 600 members. There is going to be a varying degree of value extraction for those 600 members. And it kind of drives us nuts because we want everybody to see the value in the whole organization and what the whole organization provides. Right. But it's a challenge because if you're a 4-person company focused on concrete and you are a GC with thousands of employees, your value motivation is going to be very different. And how you extract value out of what the organization offers is very different. And we try our darndest to sort of make it as uniform as possible. Obviously, we don't succeed because people will get out of it what they want to get out of it. But they also will leave money on the table if they don't understand the full depth and breadth of what this organization has to offer.
Yeah. So we have some members that, have been members almost since our charter.
Yeah.
Actually, some I think that have been members, that get so much of why we exist and how we're benefiting in many ways. And so they might not be as interested in the primary reason most people join, which is
networking and meeting other people.
Yeah, that's right. So, but I'm thinking back to a previous episode of things we've done about how never be happy with your success or content with your success.
Right. No, never be. Yeah.
Because even though we know there are certain members that probably will renew every year just because they appreciate the value, we can't ignore them either.
Right. We can't.
I mean, you constantly have to be communicating, in new ways and making sure that we as an organization stay focused on whatever the impending challenges and whatnot, whether it's a workforce development or a government affairs perspective and regulation.
Or just events or whatever. But I think that's our biggest challenge, because the demands on people's time have only increased.
Right.
The bandwidth has only decreased. And so how you communicate, communication is such a personalized, individualized mode of transportation.
It is.
Or mode of communication, right? Yeah. And so mode of understanding. So
you might have heard me say, you can communicate something 1,000,000 times using hyperbole, but if that person hasn't heard it, it's not going to matter until that first time, and then they hear it, or we communicate it in a way that they hear it.
Yeah, it clicks for them.
What are one of the things we do, and I'm thinking of something specifically, in order to try to track engagement, because it's so tied to retention?
Look, you are known around here as the king of data, right? Your bachelor's was in, what was it again?
Quantitative management.
Quantitative management. Everybody knows if you want to make a case to Peter, you have to make a case based around data. So I think we do organizationally a substantially good job in tracking our data. We're not perfect at it. I think we really could find ways to leverage AI to analyze that data even more.
Don't get ahead. Sorry. So.
But I don't know these questions, by the way. If you're thinking, I've not been shown these questions. So I think we do a good job tracking our data.
And we do, for what I'm specifically was getting at, like we track engagement, and we do a regular, ask like our board and our membership committee that if we haven't seen you as a member out to something in the last 6 months, you're going to get a personal invite. Mm-hmm. You're going to get an outreach, because we know that. And again, talk about nerdy, like in the association world, I've loved over the years reading, different studies and things. And one of the things that we know about this business is the number one way of determining whether somebody's going to renew is are they engaged? Yeah. Have they come out?
That's not why we're reaching out. We're reaching out because we care about you and we want you to be successful. We want you to come in and
get the most value out of what you're investing in.
Right.
So, yep, exactly.
By the way, our membership is one of the lowest in the state that I've heard of. Because I hear other people talk about our dues. Yeah. So our cost structure is unbelievably low.
All right.
You're going to get the value out of it that you put into it.
That's a good segue into the next topic, which is revenue diversification. So, by the way, and again, these are, I was just curious. So I asked, the internet, what are the top issues facing associations these days? And this is what it came up with. And I think this has been an issue of concern for as long as I've been in this business as well, right? Mm-hmm. So, a lot of nonprofits are in the 90s and upwards, reliant on a single source of revenue, sometimes dues or donations or whatever. So talk a little bit about this and your perspective after 3 years or approaching 3 years of working with this chapter about how well we have or have not done in terms of revenue diversification.
So I wish I could take credit for this, but
and you can for a lot of what's in the irons in the fire.
Yeah, for maybe in 5 to 10 years I could. Mm-hmm. But this organization, I think, has done such an incredible job diversifying its revenue sources, and we say that quickly, right? And I just want to draw people's attention to the fact that diversifying revenue sources is not a simple concept, because it allows you to function as in different roles in different modalities at different times in different ways.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because we don't want anyone to think, we talk a lot about this at meetings.
Right.
because it is such a hot topic of conversation, that it's easy, even though we've had success.
Right.
So anyway, not to interrupt your train of thought.
No, but my dad used to say this about
Because if it
Michael
was
Jordan.
easy, we'd all be doing it, and you'd be fine where that diversification is. But if I could ask you to continue your train of thought, but also touch on your risk aversion and what impact that has on this in the nonprofit world.
Okay, I'll get into that too.
In 2 minutes.
So,
Sorry.
as an example, one of our revenue sources is that ABC functions as a landlord. So we make rental income from our real estate that we own. Now, we own real estate because leaders and boards before us made great decisions that allowed us to be in a position where we own real estate we can rent out. Yep. We bought our own building in Hialeah recently. Miami, last year, which sits there as a revenue source as well. Now, you just can't buy real estate and be like, oh, I'm making money in real estate. It forces you to be good in a bunch of skills that aren't necessarily inherent to somebody that's running a nonprofit trade organization, right? So we are very good landlords. That didn't happen by accident. Like, there's a lot of work and effort that went into it. In terms of being great property managers, being great landlords, being great leasing agents, keeping track of what the market is doing, servicing a tenant, bringing a tenant in.
I would add, again, something that's happened in the last couple of years, which is staying in front of improvements and things you needed to do to make sure that you got the maximum rent that you could. Because those are hard things. You got to save in order to invest, and to try to convince leadership. Although we're blessed that they're in this business, so they appreciate more than most the value of.
But that's just one thing we do that we're good at, right?
That's right.
We have a whole publishing business. We have a whole event business. We have a whole government affairs. I mean,
our events are very profitable. It's amazing, and that's
Anyway.
But
again, it doesn't happen by accident. How we succeed at events is a very different skill set and how we succeed as landlords, right? But that's sort of the beauty and diversity of this organization that I don't think most people appreciate. They just look at line by line. Oh, you're making money here. You're making money here. You're making money here.
Right.
But it's like, it takes a lot of time and effort and skill set to succeed in each of those. There's companies out there that are just property managers. There's companies out there that just make money in real estate. That do one of what we do, right? And we do all of this stuff.
So if you talked about risk and risk aversion and challenges to organizations wanting to diversify. Because I think that's something that has to be overcome, that it's difficult.
That 100% has to be overcome. And I think the biggest risk I think most organizations have, they step foot in areas without really understanding the skill set necessary to succeed. And I think if you can figure that out in terms of what skills you need, and you can fill the skill gap for your organization, that I think is going to go a long way in terms of minimizing the risk. Now, risk analysis, it's a whole art. Pricing analysis is a whole art. Like, there's a whole thing based around that I think we do really well as we kind of grow. We have conversations all the time about how much to charge for events. We have conversations all the time about what should a sponsorship cost? How much should rent be, right? How much are we spending on air conditioners? How much are we spending on roofing? I mean, there's all these things that go into this very sophisticated decision making that I think, again, people used to think what Michael Jordan did was easy, right? Because he was so good at it, he made it look easy. Right. And I think that's ABC. Because we are so good at what we do, we make it look easy, and people don't realize the hours and hours of analysis and work and data collection that goes into everything we pull off.
All right, number 3 in this top list of hot topics in association management is digital transformation. Sonny, think of maybe a personal favorite of yours, right?
Yeah.
So how is the use of technology, including AI, becoming increasingly important for enhancing our member experiences and operational efficiency?
I think AI reminds
me. These are good, right?
These are very good questions. Did you get them from AI, or are these yours? I'm just kidding.
What is the difference between AI and the internet these days?
Right.
I asked somebody. Google, Bing, I don't know.
Google's on its way out anyway. I think AI is going to replace that. But I think digital transformation for the sake of digital transformation is a waste of time and money. But I think if you can use...
That's pretty important. There's a lot of people that feel like just because.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to use AI because everybody's talking about AI. Mm-hmm. If you, for your own specific organization, don't have a solid use case for AI, don't get into it, right? I mean, there has to be a solid use case for everything you do when it comes to a digital transformation.
What might be a solid use case, either for an association in general or ways in which it has been for us?
Okay. So keep it simple. Using AI for data analysis. We're a 58-year-old organization. We collect a ton of data. I would need 3 people full time just to look at data all the time for me to tell what actionable items I can take based on the data we're generating. I think that is a huge benefit of being able to leverage AI and technology to figure that out. You look
Can you
at
get a little more specific? Can you think of I'm thinking of some examples recently I've seen here, and I'm like, wow, And again, in large part, it's we're generationally different, and it's definitely is. I think younger generations are a little more I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Open
to using it. Yeah. I mean, the use case that I'm thinking of right now is we did a considerably substantive.
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, federal grant application. And we really leveraged AI for it. Now, it wasn't just all AI. I mean, look, people read it. Multiple people read it. Yeah. Multiple people contributed to it.
What amazed me about that experience is AI was like, you're weak in this area.
Yeah.
We need to spend, and that it was amazing to me.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It identifies, because it does so well in terms of reading the actual. Now, you got to be careful because sometimes it'll just make stuff up, and you have to be very careful about that. But I think we did a great job organizationally leveraging AI on that grant.
How are we encouraging that within the chapter, staff-wise, and you might allude to some other conversations we're having about how to maybe leverage this for our members as well, right?
Yeah.
Although that's
I'm excited about that
train
project.
hasn't left the station.
That train hasn't left the station, but I am excited about that project. But you'll how to leverage AI for construction. I think you'll be hearing more from us on that topic in the future as well. That's something very exciting.
That if done right will help us diversify our revenue streams as well.
Absolutely. But when you do something for as long as this organization has, you build a lot of institutional knowledge, And I think technology, especially with the projects you and I are working on, I think as we move forward, that institutional knowledge will allow us to build and deliver technology in a way that really hasn't been done before in construction. And I think that's going to be a huge game changer for our members. I think
awesome.
It'll be an exciting place to be for sure.
All right, this next to last one is the most ambiguous in my opinion of all of them, but let's see what you can do. Sustainability and value alignment. There's this thought that associations are being held to higher standards by stakeholders these days.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So what kind of challenges do we face as a construction trade association? And can you think of any good examples of where we've either failed or succeeded in particular? So this is why it's Sonny on the hot seat. Right?
Yeah. So for-profit companies run the gamut, right? One person with a website to thousands and hundreds of thousands or millions of employees, right? Like there's a huge range. To a lesser degree, the same is true of nonprofits. You got rinky-dink one-man shows, two-man shows, to big national organizations that have hundreds of employees, right? For some reason, because we're a regional powerhouse, right? I've been in rooms with hundreds of people, and my hand is the only hand left up when they ask you, does your organization have 10 employees or more? Sure. And my hand is the only one left, and I'm in a room with 200, 300.
So in some ways, would you argue because of that, we've kind of overcome a sustainability?
We have definitely overcome the sustainability issue. I think we've definitely overcome the impact. Like again, 58-year history, you can see the impact.
Right. And value alignment. How many times have we on this show talked about value alignment?
And
so do we do a good job in particular of that, do you think, at ABC? Or?
I think we do an amazing job of value alignment. I think we don't do a good job of reminding our members how good we are in terms of not just our value alignment as the value that they get out of it, but also the values that we share with our members. Right? I think that's something we need to constantly work on. And that's the other thing I've realized. I've realized communication is constant, and I think our value alignment is phenomenal. The only way we're going to kind of build that culture is if we keep repeating it and keep reminding people, like, hey guys, one, like a lot of our members serve on smaller local nonprofits, and I think they bring that same mentality to us. And it's like, guys, apples and oranges. Like we're not We're not some $300,000 nonprofit like trying to like live off of donations, right? And I think that's the sort of mentality we have to remind our leadership all the time that that's not who we are. And we've come a long ways. I mean, 58 years is a long time. So this organization is older than I am. And we've come a long ways to be able to be in that position. I love saying this, you're our fourth CEO in 58 years. There's been some great stable leadership that has contributed to the success of this organization. And more than anything else, this organization has had an undeniably positive impact on the industry it serves.
So I want to do a little dig into that a little bit more. So, which is, how can an organization, and do we do this well, or where can we improve, make sure that our values are aligned with our community values? And by community, I mean our industry, right? We're here to serve the commercial construction industry. That's our community. So how do we make sure that you're not an organization that drifts from that, in our specific case, or somebody's more generic case? Making sure that value alignment, because it would be easy, in particular, an organization like us that has developed a lot of, getting back to an earlier issue of revenue diversification, we could just take off in some of those areas and to hell with the alignment of values, or I don't know.
But you said something not too long ago, we could be as successful as we want to be. We can have all sorts of revenue sources. We could be a $10, $15 million, well, we're already a $10 million organization. We could be a $30, $40 million P&L organization. But if we're not serving our members, what's the point, right? And so obviously we want to grow and protect the organization, but at the end of the day, our goal, our value proposition is to grow and protect the industry. The organization could be huge. We could be like March of Dimes. Polio's gone. We made a ton of money. We're very successful. We're very big. But then polio gets solved. What do we do, right? And I'm not saying we're going to end up in that March of Dimes position, but you could be a big organization, and if your industry has shrunk, or your industry isn't protected, or your industry isn't growing, well, what's the point of your existence?
Right.
Right? And so, to me, the whole idea here is our growth is intimately tied. I mean, it's a connected relationship, right? Where our growth needs to be intertwined with the growth of our industry.
Yeah. All right, we're a little long, but we're on the last one.
Okay.
So, and we're ending on a strong note, because I think anyway. But let's challenge ourselves a little bit. And the last one is event management and community building. And I think the reason this is on here is because on a virtual kind of global environment where more and more is talked about, Teams meeting and webinars, and coming out of COVID, and advanced platforms for online networking, and whatnot. I don't know. Where do we stand? How important is this moving forward for the organization? We talk a lot about, by the way, I mean, we have some of the best, I talked in a recent podcast about anecdotally a comment that was made to me off the cuff about our events, because sometimes if all you do is watch social media, you might get that, the way we talk about young people get this false notion of other people's lives, and if you're not careful, you can get a false notion of other associations' lives as opposed to somebody's real experience. And it was a very positive comment about our events, which we believe, we spend a lot of time. We think we got top-notch staff. We're always trying to keep our events fresh. They're very well attended. They're, I think, sponsorship. They're very well supported, which people would not do forever. There are some charitable segment of that, but it doesn't last forever. You can't build on that if people don't see the value that they got. So anyway, sorry, I'll shut up. But where do you think, in terms of moving forward, event management, community building?
I'm going to say this about events. One of the reasons our events are what they are, it's not because of you and I, but because the team that runs events for us is asking themselves the same questions you and I ask.
That's beautiful.
Right? It's got nothing to do with us. They are so good. But every event they do, they do like their own version of an AAR, right? An after action report, where they'll kind of talk about what can we do to make this better? Do we need to change locations? Do we need to bring in new food, different vendors, different ideas? They're always executing. Now, I've heard you say to them multiple times, we'll try it. If it doesn't work, we'll pivot. Right? Because you want to encourage a certain level of risk taking. So it's not And by the way, if you haven't been to an ABC event, like you need to come out and see it. I mean, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, come on out. By the way, did you know that when your company's a member,
Anybody can come.
anybody in your company can come at the member rate, if there's a rate at all. So, I mean, a lot of what we do is free of charge to members.
Yeah.
So, you know, we encourage, first off, we'll add as many what we call secondary contacts, anybody in your company up to everybody in your company. If you want to add them as secondary contacts, they'll get the direct email communications. But feel free to post the flyers too. We're still old school in that sense that we not only do electronic communication, but we also almost have a flyer for everything we do and an online web registration page for everything we do. Feel free to share it because everybody's welcome.
We got an events newsletter. Just send it to whoever you want to attend from your company. And I think that's sort of one of the biggest reasons why our events team is so successful, because they ask the same questions we ask. Yeah. And I think that's I've realized that's one of the keys to success in organization is if your team leaders ask the same questions that the executives are asking. And our team leaders do. And I think you can see it in the work product that they put out there.
What a great way to end.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
Thank you very much.
Sonny on the hot sheet. Hot seat.
Wow.
So spectacular.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That was an interesting episode for sure.
So, all right. So thank you for listening.
Yep.
Honoring us with your time. We look forward to sharing another episode with you next Friday.
For comments, compliments, complaints, send us an email at theobvious@abceastflorida.com.
All right. Until next time. Ciao.
Take care.